night of nights, this All Hallows Eve. Prepare to be scared. Happy Halloween.
And welcome to Danvers Daily. I am your host today, Beverly Flanagan.
And I'm Jack Flanagan.
And we're going to talk all about Halloween today. So, Jack, what is Halloween and why do we celebrate it?
Halloween originated in Ireland and in Scotland approximately in the Dark Ages, and it was such that at the end of the harvest season there would be a celebration for people that would be appreciating their harvest, and they would have put out food and drink for the dead, and they would tell stories about the dead. That would be one way of honoring their ancestry. Then that product of Samhain, which became a festival, was later appropriated into what we know today as Halloween.
And how did that come about? How did Samhain become Halloween?
Well, Samhain, as we said a moment ago, was primarily to honor the dead. So approximately 1,200 years ago, the Roman Catholic Church wanted to advance that theory. They still wanted to honor the dead, but in a more religious way. So they developed 2 days in effect. One would be November 1st, which would be All Saints' Day, and the second would be November 2nd, which would be All Souls' Day. And it was such that the day of October 31st, which preceded those two, would be known as All Hallows Eve, and it would eventually be changed into the type of name called Halloween.
Oh, interesting. Tell me about jack-o'-lanterns like this one that we have here.
The jack-o'-lantern basically originated in Ireland and Scotland. It's said that people would witness on the evening hours that there would be peat bogs and there would be will-o'-the-wisps emanating from those peat bogs. So they had to have something to light their way if they were working late or going home late from their labors at work. It's said that jack-o'-lantern came about, this legend that one person was a drunkard and he made a bargain with the evil one called the devil. He reneged on his portion of the bargain, and the devil was so upset with that person that he would give the individual a turnip, which was in a hollowed out shell, and a light of lump of coal. That was the only thing that he gave this person who reneged, and the person had to find his way for the rest of his life with only that to guide him.
Interesting. So how did Halloween come to America?
Halloween primarily came to America in 1845. During that year, the Irish had a terrible potato blight in which thousands of Irish would emanate to the United States as immigrants. Now, when they came here, they brought their customs with them. One of the customs from Halloween was called pranking. That, for instance, if someone went to another house and they asked someone for either food or some coins and they were refused, the pranking would begin and they would take rotten eggs or rotten tomatoes and throw at that person's house. However, if they were satisfied in their demands and you did not have to give a lot of money or a lot of food, even a little bit, they went away and left you unmolested.
So how did that turn into trick-or-treating?
It came into trick-or-treating primarily because in the ancient Samhain, sometimes people would dress up in costumes and they would light bonfires to honor the dead and ward off evil spirits. But in America, it was such that people would go door to door looking for treats, and they called it trick-or-treat because it was such that today it's primarily not adults but children that go to doors asking for candy, and if their demands are not met, then they've heard what they should do in retaliation.
So we have the jack-o'-lantern. How about witches and ghosts and skeletons and all? Why are they used as costumes or in decorations for Halloween?
Witches and skeletons or ghosts are associated with the evil one, Satan, and it's said that they are primarily effective at night. And these types of creatures are such that since they side with the dark side, they dress in dark clothing. It's said that these types of creatures and also anti-creatures such as vampires and werewolves and goblins and pukas have been associated with Halloween because their acts are very unkindly to other people.
Huh. So, interesting. How did, it came, what is Haunted Happenings? It's in Salem, it's just down the road a piece. How did that come about?
Haunted Happenings came about in Salem, Massachusetts. Salem is associated with the witchcraft hysteria of 1692. Now, Haunted Happenings is a month-long festival in Salem which draws a multitude of people from all parts of our great country to Salem. There are many activities that are going on during that time period. There is a costume ball, there are witch tours, there are ghost walks, there are trolley tours, there are other types of visiting shops, and you can learn about the history of Salem as such that it is an area that primarily will focus on the occult and spiritual, but also commercial interests during that time period.
Yeah, yeah. And so how did Salem specifically get linked with Halloween and all that?
Salem got specifically linked with Halloween, again, because of the witchcraft hysteria of 1692. During that time, a Puritan church would be involved in the center of a witchcraft controversy in which 20 people would be executed for the crime of witchcraft. During that time period, it was a very dark time period that went on. Over 150 people were incarcerated in the jails of Essex County, and at least another 4 would die in the jails of Essex County. It was said that during that time period, people had to have some kind of idea as to what was causing problems associated with their lives, and that may have been, for them, the plausible reason was witchcraft.
And so, because of that, Salem became known as Witch City.
It did.
And became the Halloween capital.
It did. It became the Halloween capital of the world, and it's said that it is arguably the capital of the world because of the number of people that visit it and the haunted happenings that go on in Salem. And they are focused mostly on the witchcraft hysteria and other occult activity.
Well, that's interesting. I thank you for being on the show today. And
thank you,
Beverly.
Beverly.
It's been interesting discussing all about Halloween, a little of this and a little about that. And so what do you think?
Well, I think that you've heard a little bit about Halloween, and we leave it to you to do some research before Halloween Day comes. And we ask you this question in parting. Is Halloween something significant, or what do you think? Could it just be a bunch of hocus pocus? Happy Halloween
from Danvers Community Access Television.
Happy Halloween to all that watch this show, and please watch us again. Happy Halloween. Thank you.
This night, this